Hey, Pretty Girl Club. Welcome back to the Pretty Privilege series. One of the pretty girls in the Patreon, she asked a really good question. It was based on an episode that I made recently. She said, I love your videos about cognitive dissonance and recognizing your internalized beauty standards. Setting aside more time to investigate my own beauty standards has been eye opening but also fun. I love using Pinterest, for instance. It's also refreshing because I often see this topic discussed through the lens of shame or guilt versus self discovery and empowerment. Could you chat more about what happens when MLS women reject or run from their internalized beauty standards? What are some signs this is happening, and what impact can this have on women's lives? Um, yeah, so for all the exoticals watching this, are you running from your internalized beauty standard? I want to talk about that because that is definitely a thing. One of the main reasons that women run from their own internalized beauty standard is because their beauty standard goes against their morals. They view beauty as something that has to be caged into a certain moral lens. So, for example, in my case, I was raised very WASP, like a Protestant, white Anglo Saxon Protestant. So, modesty, that was always one of my core values that I was raised with. I wasn't allowed to wear booty shorts. I wasn't allowed to wear bikinis. I couldn't wear a bunch of makeup and all that when I was younger. And so one of my beauty standards was being able to wear bikinis and crop tops and all that. But a part of why I ran from it at first is because it went against my morals. I kind of had this mindset that if you're too pretty, it means you're trying to seduce, or if you're too pretty, it means you're seeking attention. That is one of the ways that people demonize beauty. They have all these stereotypes, so if you're sexy, then you're a hoe. Like if you show off your shape, if you wear a form-fitting shirt or something, you're trying to show off your boobs. If you wear shorts, it's because you're trying to show off your butt. So a lot of people, they want to police women's beauty, and they will try to convince you that you are immoral if you promote a certain type of beauty. That's why you see a lot of women coming against female rappers, actually, because they'll say their type of beauty, kind of this slutty, kind of shaking their asses and all that. They say that that type of beauty, that is promiscuous. You're being a hoe, or it's being ratchet. Being ratchet is not okay. So they have these rules where it's like, you can't have a ratchet type of beauty. You can't have a sexy type of beauty. You can't wear short shorts. So that's one of the main reasons that I see some women running from their own internalized beauty standard. Another thing too, as exoticals, a lot of us get told that we're already pretty. Like, oh, well, you already have long hair. You don't need a wig. You already have a pretty face. So it's not a big deal. I've heard some people say that most men, they don't care about women's faces anyway. So you don't need to wear makeup. Most men are face blind. They only care about your body anyway. So just who cares about wearing makeup? It's not important. You're doing too much. So what limitations have you placed on beauty? Because the reason that some exoticals run from their internal beauty standard is because, first of all, they're afraid of not being natural. I've noticed that's one of the main things. For a lot of us, we're already put on a pedestal in the Black community. A lot of people in the Black community in particular, women and men, they tell us, oh, you already have good hair. You already have good features. Oh, you have a good nose. You already have pretty eyes. You don't need to wear a whole bunch of eyeshadow and do smoky eye. So because we're already put on a pedestal for the way we were born, it's almost viewed as greedy. It's like you're being greedy if you seek after more beauty. I know that's a feeling I've had before where it's like, wow, is this not enough? You know what I mean? It's like you already have enough of a pedestal. Why do you want to pursue more beauty? What's wrong with you? You're just never satisfied. How dare you try to also be a bad bitch on top of being naturally pretty? It's not fair. That's another thing. Guilt. Guilt is one of the main reasons why we see exoticals sometimes running from their own internalized beauty standard. They feel guilty about playing into their ambiguity, for example. If you are already mixed, let's say you are Afro-Latina and you want to wear a weave that looks like Latinas. Well, you're probably going to experience guilt because you're going to pass for Latina with your little weave because it's already in your bloodline. You already have a slightly ambiguous type of look. So in the Black community, they often teach that playing into racial ambiguity is bad, obviously. They heavily are against that. I mean, there is all this discourse about passing. Remember back in the day when people used to pass for white and stuff? So obviously in the Black community, people consider that to be bad. They consider it to be messed up that people are passing for white or that they wanted to pass for white. And so I feel like a lot of people view it as something where it was a survival mechanism, but people feel like, oh, nowadays you don't have to play into ambiguity. If you play into your ambiguity, you are a white supremacist. That is really one of the main stereotypes that I hear coming from the Black community. So if you're already light skinned, for example, and maybe you have 4C hair, but then you put on 2C hair, well, you're being a white supremacist. You're being a texturist because you're just trying to pass. So that's why you see some exoticals where they run from their internalized beauty standard because they feel guilt. The Black community makes them feel guilty. Other exoticals or other people who look like them might make them feel guilty. Because another thing too is some women have this mindset of, if I don't get to be pretty, you don't either. If I don't feel comfortable wearing weaves, you shouldn't either. If I don't feel comfortable wearing makeup, you shouldn't either. And so they peer pressure other women into toning themselves down. And that's why they have that phrase, oh, you're doing too much. You're trying too hard. Why are you trying to be cute? Who are you trying to impress? Oh, you're performing for the male gaze. You're an internalized misogynist. If you have pretty privilege or if you seek after pretty privilege, oh, you're just an internalized misogynist. You're just trying to benefit off the patriarchy. You're not a real feminist. So they're trying to tie beauty to all these different things. They tie beauty to feminism. They're tying beauty to racial representation. That's another thing. Oh, but you're Black. You're not Afro-Latina. You're Black. So you need to just represent Blackness. Stop wearing weave. You have to wear your hair in free-form locks. You need to wear your 4C hair 24/7. Otherwise, you are not supporting the Black community. So now your whole body, you have to be a walking billboard for the Black community. So that's another reason that some women, they run away from their internalized beauty standard because they feel like they have to represent Blackness. People pressure us exoticals to be the representation for Black beauty. So if we are caught playing into our ambiguity at all, if we are caught meeting some sort of white or Eurocentric beauty standard, then, people, that's why they start accusing us of oh, you must be self-hating because you have blonde highlights. You're trying to be white. And that's another thing too. I remember one time a few months ago, I never responded to that content creator, but a few months ago, she accused me of having Eurocentric beauty standards. But guess what? She's right. I do have Eurocentric beauty standards. I have Afrocentric beauty standards. So I don't view white people as my enemy. I'm not afraid of admitting the beauty of somebody who's white. But if you were raised monoculturally Black, you've probably been taught that white people or whiteness is your enemy. And so that's where you get these talking points where it's oh, if you wear blonde hair, you're joining the other side. That hair color that you're doing for the summer, oh, you're joining the other side. You're promoting European beauty standards. And it's well, what if she does have a European beauty standard? Now what? Who go check her? What if European beauty is a part of her beauty standard? Now what? For example, if you are Creole, okay, you have European ancestry in your bloodline. So it's so laughable to me how people, they accuse exoticals of having Eurocentric beauty standards. And it's okay, a lot of those women are actually mixed with those people that they're trying to look like. Oh, well, she just dyed her hair blonde. Okay, maybe her mom has blonde hair. Maybe she's tapping into approximating herself to her mother. For some people, that's a way of showing love. Did you know that a part of how a little girl shows love to her mother is she dresses like her mom? She might want to do her hair like her mom. So for some adults, maybe her mother has passed away and maybe she wants to honor her mother's memory. And so she happens to dye her hair to look like how her mom used to style it. And it's comforting for her. You don't know the psychology behind that woman's beauty. You don't know the psychology behind why she is looking the way she does. Maybe she spent her life hating her European side. Maybe she spent her life hating her Latina side. And now as an adult, she's embracing it by wearing that style of makeup or clothing. But here you are trying to accuse her of internalized anti-blackness. And it's like, okay, you can't call people anti-black if they haven't done anything anti-black. If you're going to start accusing people of isms, just make sure you come with the proof. But that's one of the reasons why some exoticals reject their internalized beauty standard is because they feel guilty for it. So like that content creator a long time ago who tried to say, oh, the exoticals have Eurocentric beauty standards. Well, she obviously doesn't feel comfortable with Eurocentric beauty. I don't have a problem with Eurocentric beauty because European women are not my enemies. I'm not competing with European women. That's literally a part of my actual bloodline as well. So I don't really care about that. I don't view it like, oh, I'm giving credit to the enemy by straightening my hair. I'm giving credit to my enemies, Asian women, by wearing my hair straight and black. And by the way, one thing I love about the exotical space is I view my own beauty as a form of exploring myself and discovering myself. I don't have to use my beauty to make a political statement. I don't have to use my beauty to carry the entire black community on my shoulders. I don't have to use my beauty to carry the entire dark-skinned or light-skinned community on my shoulders. Because I notice another thing too when it comes to skin complexion. There is a such thing as people who have a standard of beauty for skin tone. So some people's standard of beauty is they want their skin as dark as possible. They want their skin as tan as possible. Other people's standard of beauty is they want their skin to stay as light as possible or as pale as possible. So I've noticed this thing where people will try to guilt trip you and be like, oh, you got a tan. How dare you get out of the sun now? You need to stay in the sun as much as possible because that's a sign of representing your blackness. Why don't you want to show your melanin? You're getting rid of your melanin. Meanwhile, who's the biggest community of people who purchase skin bleaching products? What continent are skin bleaching products sold on the most? They're sold in the African continent a lot. So they're projecting. They want you to represent a certain skin complexion because you're apparently you're supposed to be fighting colorism with your beauty. I mean, I don't know what kind of statement they want you to make with your beauty, but the thing that I talk about on this channel is how it's your body, your choice, your beauty, your choice. So you don't owe anybody anything. If you don't want to wear your hair a certain way, you don't have to. If you don't want to wear your makeup a certain way, you don't have to. And another thing too is some women, they try to identity police and they put beauty on a hierarchy. So I've noticed a lot of monocultural black people, they value natural beauty the most, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with natural beauty, obviously. But if you're wearing weave, if you're wearing makeup, if you're wearing wigs, if you had surgery, if you had a BBL or something, you're going to get a lot of flack in the black community because their hierarchy it puts natural beauty on the top because a lot of people with inferiority complexes in the black community feel like they don't have natural beauty. So that's why they have this mindset of worshiping natural beauty, or they feel like if you already have natural beauty, it's like, oh, you don't need anything. You don't need weaves. You don't need makeup. If you wear makeup, it means that you don't think your face is naturally pretty. So they create all of these rules, and it's really coming from their own internalized cultural traumas and wounds. Because a lot of those women feel like they weren't naturally pretty. And a lot of those women would do anything to feel naturally pretty. So when they see you and you're already naturally pretty, and then you also decide to, I don't know, get a facelift or get Botox or something, then they're confused. Like, what? And it's this mindset of, if I were you, I would do X, Y, Z. If I had your beauty, this is how I would act. And it's like, okay, but you don't have my beauty. You're not me. So you don't get to decide how I get to use my beauty. You don't get to decide how I get to express my beauty. But some women run from their internalized beauty standard because they've been pressured. So in the black community, there is a lot of pressure to just be a natural beauty. That's what a lot of them pedestalize because in their own minds, a lot of women feel like they don't have that natural beauty. And that's why you hear some women talking about how they feel like multiracial women can be seen in our natural state. So for example, with a messy bun, or you just got out of the shower, there's no gel in your hair, you don't really have makeup on, and then you see this phenomenon where a lot of unambiguous women with inferiority complexes, they don't like seeing themselves in their natural state. And we know that because they'll make fun of women like Lupita Nyong'o, Francesca Withers, Whoopi Goldberg. These are all unambiguous black women in their natural state, showing off their natural beauty. But because a lot of women feel like they don't have that natural beauty, or they feel like society doesn't appreciate their natural beauty, that's what makes them feel the pressure to prove that they're naturally beautiful. So sometimes when a woman uses beauty enhancements, I do think it can be out of insecurity, but there are other cases where her beauty enhancements are just a form of self expression. Like in my case, wearing lipstick, for example. I'm not trying to hide my lips or hide my lip color, or, I don't like my natural lips. No, I don't have the pressure to prove my natural beauty to anyone. So that's why I feel more free to express my beauty in different ways. I don't have to prove that I'm naturally pretty to you. I don't have to prove my natural hair texture to you. I don't have to prove my ambiguity to you, if that makes sense. So I've noticed that some women, they view beauty as a tool to prove themselves. Their entire method of gaining beauty is so they can just get validation. Whereas on this channel, I talk about how with my beauty is a form of micro validation, but I like to use my beauty to express my personality. I like to use my own beauty to heal my inner child. I like to use my beauty to connect with others. So that's why sometimes you see women playing into their racial ambiguity. Maybe she wants to connect with people from her Indian side. So maybe that's why she's wearing her hair straight or something like that. So her beauty is being used as a tool for connection. It's not, oh, I have to try to like prove or break a stereotype or something, or I have to make a political statement and I have to prove that I can overcome colorism and still be perceived as beautiful because I put on an 18-inch bust down. It's like, okay, those are two different reasons for wanting to be beautiful. Another reason why some women run from their internalized beauty standard is because they're overwhelmed by it. They're so far off from it. So some women, they just give up before they even begin. The way that I do that, like the way that I kind of overcome that, is I will focus on one particular body part for like a few months, and then I'll move on to something else. So for example, I was actually just journaling about this morning. So the next thing I'm going to be focusing on is my legs. I know that's very random. Like it's very random. Like I want to focus on my legs, making sure that like my hair removal process is really good, getting rid of any scars on my legs. So I try to compartmentalize my internalized beauty standard by each body part. I will work on each body part for a little while. I'm not worried about my abs right now and my boobs and then my back and, oh, do I have any back fat? Oh, let me go lift these weights. No, because that's overwhelming to try to put all these different tasks on myself and to try to achieve everything in one day. You don't achieve all of your beauty goals in one day, just like how you can't lose all the weight in one day. So the reason why some exoticals are running from their internal beauty standard is because they don't know how to break their beauty standard down into like these micro goals. They just feel like, oh shit, I'm fat, I gotta lose weight, I gotta fix my teeth, I gotta fix my skin, I gotta go to the dermatologist, and my legs are hairy, and my back is hairy, my arms are hairy, oh my god. So they're just overwhelmed because they have so many things that they want to fix, and they can't fix it all at once, or they don't have the money. So that's another thing that you see too, is some women are too poor to meet their internalized beauty standard. They're too broke. She doesn't have the money to get her hair done. She doesn't even have the money to purchase the products to help her hair, retain length and all that. So a lot of times it's a class issue as well. And I've noticed that's another reason why sometimes women demonize glamorous beauty. They demonize you if you have a lot of makeup. Have you ever had somebody come to your house and then they see how much makeup you have or how many beauty products you have, and they're like, oh my God, why do you have all this? Oh my God, how much did this cost? How much money did you spend? I'm not spending $50 on a foundation. I'm not spending XYZ amount of money. Okay, so sometimes they don't have the money. And then they'll make these videos on YouTube like, oh, women are growing broke because they're spending $3,000 a month on beauty maintenance. Generally speaking, if a woman is spending thousands per month on her maintenance, it's because she has the money to. I've never seen a woman who's like, she has perfect beauty and she became homeless because she got her nails done. I've never seen that. Usually the homeless women that I see on the streets are women who are not maintaining their beauty. But these women who feel threatened by your socioeconomic status, they try to scare other women and they're like, oh, this is bad. These women are being irresponsible and they're going broke so they can maintain their appearance. Okay, clearly she's not broke if she still has a place to stay. She still has a car. And also, even if a woman did go broke, why do you care? Are you going to give her money? They try to pretend like they care about other women going broke, but I don't see them raising money. I don't see them creating GoFundMe's for these beautiful women who they act so concerned about. Oh, well, she spent $3,000. She's going broke. Okay, then why didn't you raise a GoFundMe? Since you care about her so much. It's because you don't. It's because you're actually just jealous of her socioeconomic status. You're upset that she can afford to kind of meet like this luxurious internalized beauty standard, because that's a beauty standard as well, kind of this luxury beauty. I'm thinking of like Lori Harvey. She comes to mind. The type of women where they always have their nails done. Like, these are the women who go in to get fills. I will admit I'm going to be getting a fill for the first time in over 10 years, because I'm not the type, that just happens to not be my beauty standard, the luxurious type of beauty standard. But there are women who like that beauty standard. So yes, they're going to go and get the fill. They're going to make sure that they get their lashes retouched every week, every 2 weeks. They go get a facial like clockwork every 4 weeks. And that's their internalized beauty standard. It's this luxury type of thing. They go get their clothes tailored. Those types of women, they go get their jeans tailored. They get their shirts tailored and stuff like that. So one of the reasons women run from that beauty standard is they can't afford it. And by the way, this is why on the Patreon, be sure to join the Patreon if you haven't already. But on the Patreon, I've talked about how I do my beauty budget. So I do my budget month to month, because I don't want to say I can't afford to do it by the year, but I've noticed that sometimes my goals will change, or like different things happen to where maybe I want to invest more money in that. But I just do it month to month. So some months maybe I can spend more money on my beauty, but then other months I'm like, okay, I want to save for this vacation or something. So, maybe I won't get my nails done. I'll just go once every 2 months instead of once a month. And then in between, I will just paint my nails with my own nail polish. So the women who are running from that luxurious beauty standard, they can't keep up financially. That's why you saw those women making those videos saying, oh, well, these women are going broke. No, you would go broke if you spent $2,000 on your beauty, you would go broke. It's not that she's broke. Clearly, she has an extra $2,000 a month. That's why she spent it. Or she saved up her money. She saved up her money for 6 months so that she could afford to pay for all those facials or all that, the tummy tuck and stuff. But another reason that we see some women kind of like running away from their internalized beauty standard is because they would have to, number one, hold themselves accountable. They would have to admit where they feel ugly. And they don't want to do that, because then they would have to admit that they actually have flaws. They would have to admit that they actually want pretty privilege, or they want the male gaze, or, whatever it is they're trying to achieve with their beauty. They would have to admit that they want to participate in a corrupt society, because our society is very corrupt. Pretty privilege in itself is a corrupt concept. Privilege in general comes from corruption. So some women, they feel guilty about wanting any sort of privilege. They want to prove that they're a good person by being ugly. They want to humble themselves before society humbles them. But what do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section, and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.